It's a bop. It's a bop. What's up, everybody? And welcome to the first episode of the UnNatural Mom. This is a podcast that's going to be designed and dedicated to women who are mothers the unnatural way. What I mean by that, first of all, let me start by saying this. Who does their first episode of this wonderful podcast horse? I do. But you know what? The show must go on. It must go on. Alrighty. So let me talk to you about what this podcast is about. Mothers who go on this journey of becoming a mother the unnatural way. That means not giving birth the traditional way. But maybe you are a foster mother, a mother who has adopted children, a stepmom. This is a place dedicated to women who go on this unnatural path of motherhood. And this is a safe place. This is a place that we can tell these stories that need to be heard because we are fam. Because, in the club, we all fam. You know what it is. So let me start by introducing myself to you. I am your host and the founder, creator, whatever you want to call it, of this wonderful, wonderful podcast, The UnNatural Mom. My name is Tam Anderson, as you can see on your screen. And I am a mother to a son who is now 13 years old, but I am one of the mothers that adopted my son. Now, my journey goes way back to me wanting to start a family, me wanting to be a mom. Really, really bad. You're getting older in life. And it hit me, and I was like, man, I really do want to have a child. I wasn't in a relationship, so that wasn't an option. But I said, alrighty, I'm getting older. This is something that I really want for myself. What can I do? So let me go back a little further. I have endometriosis. And that can cause infertility issues. So even though I have this, it can cause a lot of challenges. I spoke to my doctor and did all the tests and everything, and he said that everything was fine. Tubes, fallopian tubes, blood work, eggs, everything looked great. So because I was not in a relationship and I really wanted to go on this motherhood journey, I said, alrighty, I'm going to do artificial insemination. Well, I tried. Didn't work out. I said, alrighty, let's give it a go again. And so I tried 2 times. That did not work out again. So I said, alrighty, what else can I do? So I looked into adoption or foster care. Now, I didn't have really intentions on wanting to be a foster parent, but I did it through the state. And in order to go through this process of being a person that adopts through the state, you have to become a foster parent. So that's just the way it goes. I took all the tests. I did all the classes, and these were intense classes. I mean, lots and lots of classes, CPR training, first aid training, a lot of home studies, a lot of paperwork. The process was very long, very intense, but I was on this motherhood journey mission, and so I did what I had to do. And in the midst of that, I was looking at other options. It's probably like maybe IVF. Maybe I can, have a child that way. And so as a single woman, IVF is quite expensive. Yeah, I mean, 25, 30K plus to go through this whole process of something that may or may not work. Is that something that I want to do? First of all, can I afford it? That would have been a no. But you can get finance, and there are different options and to how you can pay for that. But I was looking into that. So in the midst of looking into IVF, getting paperwork for that, considering that option, I was still going and taking these classes and everything that I had to do in order to become a foster parent with the intention to adopt. So did all of that. I eventually got my license. Super excited. I mean, the process is brutal, not gonna lie, but I got my license. And so then it becomes a waiting game. So I kind of put that IVF on hold and was just gonna go say, I just basically said, okay, let's see what happens with this process as far as adoption and foster care. So I just kind of waited, and I think the process took about a year. And I remember I was sitting at my job, sitting at my desk at my job, and you have a social worker. Each person is assigned a social worker. So I'm sitting at my desk. I get a phone call from my social worker, and she says to me, "Hi, we have a 2-year-old little boy, um, parental rights have been terminated, but he has a traumatic brain injury. Would you be wanting to, get him? And without hesitation, I said, yes, absolutely. And she said, okay, let me get all the details and everything, and I'll give you a call back. Within 5 minutes, she gave me a call and said, he's yours. What? I mean, although I'd gone through this whole process, the idea of someone saying, here's a child, it's quite different from when you're pregnant and you're going through the growing pains, your stomach is getting bigger, you're feeling the child, the baby kick, and you have this process of just, knowing that it's going to happen, you're planning and everything. I didn't know what to do. I just said, okay, wow, I'm about to be somebody's mom. And I remember that being in October. And so I met the baby, or the little boy, at that time. I think November. His birthday was in the beginning of November. And I met him a little after his birthday. I bought him birthday cupcakes. And I, okay, I have to give you the story, the backstory, just so you can understand how he got into foster care. So, and it's a very sad situation when you have children that are put in to these foster care, into the foster care system under horrible circumstances. So he was 3 months old and removed from the family parent. The father was not in the picture, so mother and family, because he had 13 broken ribs, or rib fractures, and head trauma, which of course ended up being the traumatic brain injury. He had to have a VP shunt put into his brain in order to have the water drip from the brain down because he had hydrocephalus. Now, mind you, I knew nothing about this whatsoever. All I know is they said, we have a 2-year-old at the time, little boy who is ready to be adopted. Parental rights are terminated. He's yours. That's all I knew. So upon meeting him, he was so full of energy and love, but this baby who was taken away at 3 months old lived in a medical home the whole time. And in that, it's basically like living in a hospital. There is no nurturing, there is no cuddling, there is no, love from, the parent. It's a hospital, and it's only so much that they can do. And so he was there, and when you're in the foster care system, there is no discipline, meaning any type of tap or anything like that. Can't do any of that. So he literally lived there and could literally snatch and tear and hit and bite and kick and scream with no consequences whatsoever. So that was one thing that I had to deal with. And then the second one, of course, which is the main one, is that the traumatic brain injury. So his birthday was in November. He just turned 3 when I actually met him. And so I didn't know what life would be like with a wonderful, sweet soul of a little boy, on one hand, but on the other hand, it had the types of challenges, and things that he would have had. Just not knowing that many words, still in a diaper at the time, and so it was an adjustment. It was an adjustment, and so even as I'm thinking about it and I'm talking, it's kind of like, man, and I love my son. Don't get me wrong. I want to always put that out in the forefront. I love my son. And everybody that knows me knows how much I love my son. But pre him, it's kind of like, yeah, I wanted to be a mother, and you try to figure out why I can't do it, on my own. And maybe it's because maybe I wasn't in a relationship, and I didn't have the opportunity to really try to actually give birth to something that I wanted to do, something that I had a desire to do. It just didn't happen. Why didn't it work medically? I don't know. I tried. It just didn't happen. So you're left with kind of feeling like, man, am I a failure at this? Why can I not have someone that comes to me? But you have those thoughts, and then you just kind of push them aside, and then you feel like super blessed. Like, maybe that wasn't in the cards for me. Maybe I was supposed to go down this road. Maybe this was my true destiny, to get this little boy to be his mother, to love on him, to have him love on you. And that's just what it is. But it comes with, in this situation, dealing with a loving son that has issues, a brain injury with a lot of challenges. It's kind of like you watch a movie, to give you an example, and you see children that are having the worst tantrums in the world, screaming, and you're watching that movie, and the first thing you say was, I wish my son or my daughter would do something like that, please. And so in real time, I'm left with my son that's doing that, in real life. And it's shocking. And it's like, what do I do? I don't know. Um, I will say the minimum amount of time it is to adopt a child through foster care is 6 months. And that was the minimum time. So I got him in October. He was officially mine, adopted by me in June. But let me tell you something. It's been amazing, but it's been truly, truly, truly challenging trying to navigate having a child who is super bubbly. Now he's a teenager now, and I'm going to get to that in later episodes as far as the transition of having a 3-year old on up to a teenager. That's a whole nother situation in itself. But it was trying. Um, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie about it. It was hard. I had support at the time, and I'm super grateful for that, via a friend of mine, and I also had my family, who was there for me. But I left my job at the time because I wanted to have that bonding experience with him. But I literally would have to go to the school every single day to make sure that he didn't hit everybody, hit all the teachers, throw, scream, kick, hit his head on the concrete over and over and over again. Now, these are the things that he did at school, but when he came home, he wasn't that kid, but it was challenging, because there is no, when you have a child that has traumatic brain injury, there is a sense of aggression. There is kind of like no filter when it comes to emotions. It's like super, super, super high or super, super, super low. He was tested for autism. He didn't have that, but it's like some of the same symptoms as someone that would have um, autism. But it was trying, and I pushed through. I pushed through hard. Um, and like I said, to know him, especially at that time, super outgoing, so happy about just life, like love to go to the store just to see the world. When I got him, just imagine you're living in this hospital, this medical home, and you're not seeing the world. You're not seeing, he barely went to the store. What he saw was basically the home that he lived in. So going to the grocery store was like a field trip. Um, but I want to get into like some of the challenges that I had to experience that were super, super hard. Just aggressiveness. And I want to, have you, like, as you guys are watching this, and if you know of other people, other moms, especially, that have had the same experiences that I have as far as dealing with a child that you've adopted, especially through the foster care system, because a lot of those kids come from broken homes, come from parents who are incarcerated, come from parents who are on drugs. And the purpose of foster care is actually reunification. They want to always reunite that child back with their parent. They really do. And I'm all for that. That would not have worked for me because I would have been emotionally attached. And I cannot fathom, and this happens all the time, I could not have fathomed getting a baby, for example, and you have that baby all the way up until that baby is 2, and the mother or the father or whomever gets out of jail or gets out of rehab, and they've turned their life around, and now you have to give that baby back. Can you imagine what that would feel like? I can't. I don't know how people do that. I would have a breakdown. I can tell you right now that would be trying for me. But that was not my case. Thank God, that was not what I wanted. The process for me was as smooth as it could be. I mean, it was a minimum amount of time, and everything was like checked off the list. It was a process as far as a lot of Social workers come in, his social worker every month, my social worker every month, the school social worker, the lawyer. Like, it was a huge process that you had to deal with. But I did it. And I actually wanted to provide or get, siblings for him. So initially I was like, the behavior was so extreme for me that I literally said, that's it. Take me out the system. I'm not doing this again. And I can give you some examples a little later, but I said, I am not, no more children. This is it. Because he was 1 in 5. One child to 5 children. It was in one. I said, nope, that's it. I'm not doing it again. Take me out the system. You don't have to call me for any more children. And then maybe a year or so passed, and I was like, he really could have a sibling. You know what? So then, once I took myself out the system, I had to start over again. So I had to retake the classes. I had to get the license all over again, do the home studies, do the whole paperwork. Another year, and I got my license again. And you know what happened? The behavior was so extreme and so out of control at times that I said, forget it. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I cannot. No, no, no. Take me out the system again. No more. I cannot. So it's hard to navigate trying to be, you know, the great mom and then have a child that has these issues, and it's no fault of his, because when a part of the brain is non-functioning, it's just non-functioning. You can't control it. The process of calming down is not there. The process of getting angry, super angry, is there. The process of comprehension is not there at all. You can't understand why things are the way that they are. You just don't get it. And I can't, it's kind of like sometimes I would have the feeling of you wanting your child to be, in the sense, normal, but he's normal for what he is. But then I feel guilty because I'm just like, why can't I have my own? And these are just feelings that I have temporarily. I did wish that I could, but I have him and I love him so much. But there is that feeling in the back of my head that I wish that I could have, brought in a child in my world, in the world, through me. And like I said, maybe that was not in my cards. I love my son so much. He is the apple of my eye. But trying to navigate, being a parent to a child with a brain injury is it's a lot, it's a lot. And as he's gotten older, the behavior changes just in a different way. And it could leave me just on an emotional roller coaster. Like, some days I'm just like in tears, and I ain't gonna lie about it. Like, if I start thinking about it, I'll start crying. Crying now because it's hard trying to navigate, you know, wanting your son to be like the other kids, and Jesus, and and he's not, and you really, really want that. You want that, and it's challenging. Um, and then you go from having a bubbly personality to just angry, 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 angry all the time. But I still love him, and I'm like ride or die for him. But it can be a lot. It can be a lot. So this is just a little intro, and I'm so sorry for crying. It's an emotional ride. And I know for you parents that are out there, and I want you guys to chime in, and maybe I can bring you on the show as well, but I want you to chime in and tell me the process that you had to go, how you had to navigate um the process, especially if you did foster care, and especially if the child had issues. A lot of them have dealt with physical abuse, a lot of them have dealt with sexual abuse, abandonment, being born with drugs in their system. It's a lot. And it can be very trying. It can be a very, very emotional thing. And who he is today is quite different. The personality has changed, and I understand it's a teenage thing. Also, hormones are playing a part, but it's rough. It's rough. It's rough. When he's good, but when it's when it's not good, it's not good. And it's emotional, and it could leave you feeling like helpless and alone, even though you're not alone, but it's challenging. So if you're watching this and you are a mom and you've had to deal with some of the things that I've dealt with, the good and the bad, this is a safe place for you. I would like to hear your stories. Um, you know, I'm here and we can talk about it, everything, the journey. So like I said, whether you have adopted, whether you are currently a foster parent, whether you're a stepmom, you can be an aunt who, under circumstances, have become a mother, through, siblings, their kids and things like that. I want to know what's going on with you and how you've handled those things, because when you're, have a child that didn't come directly through you, then you're dealing with a child that you may not even know necessarily their history or their family history and who they are, their personality, because it's not like they're through you and you're like, they're just like me and they look just like me and everything. It's a little different. So I would love to hear from you. We're going to have a great show, a great season. This is the first episode. I do want to thank you guys for joining in, for watching me be emotional. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster on this this show, but that's okay because this is a safe place because we are family. Like I said, we in the club, we all fam. You know what it is. But make sure you follow and subscribe to my YouTube page. This is going to be there at the UnNatural Mom on YouTube. You can follow me on TikTok at the UnNatural Mom, and on IG it's at the UnNatural Mom podcast. It's also going to be streaming on my website at tamanderson.com. I'm going to put this little clicker up here so you guys can see that. tamanderson.com right there. And I want you to follow me. I want you to pass the word. I want you to share. And I want to hear your stories. I want to hear all about them because we need to hear them, and they're so important. And although I'm emotional about it, I would not have it any other way. It's trying, it's challenging, but we are here for each other. And I'm here for you, especially with a platform for you to discuss and for us to discuss and love on each other and all the goods and the bads. Good and bad, the good and bad. But I want to thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you so much. I want to know, your stories. Please, definitely tune in every Thursday. I'm gonna drop this every Thursday. And share. Tell your friends, and if you know someone, tell them about it because I want to talk to them as well. So much to come ahead. We're gonna really, really dive deep into the bits of it all. You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank my sponsor, who is actually me, which is Tam Jam Candles, hand poured with made by me, 100% soy wax. I can personalize them for you. I can make whatever you want on that actual candle. I have amazing premium hand scents. You can go to tamjamcandles.com. You can also get it by way of tamanderson.com. The sky is the limit. Please get your candle. Make sure you tell everybody. Very reasonable in price. They are amazing. They smell so good. They make perfect gifts. And then they make perfect aromatherapy for your house. And especially if you're dealing with some kids that drive you crazy, you're going to need a little candle. So check out tamjamcandles.com. I appreciate you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in on this first episode of The UnNatural Mom. It's your girl, Tam Anderson. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Peace.